Hey there, and welcome to the Create With podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about building software using AI and visual development. And this is our first big episode after the Create With conference. So we've got a ton to catch up on. So it's James here, and I'm here with Kieran.
Hello, everyone.
Very, very exciting to be back. So, wow. Yeah, it's been quite a crazy month of May. Been a little while since the last episode, I guess, since we were so busy getting everything arranged for the conference. But now that it's over, we've got a bit of a special episode where we're going to go through some of our favorite moments from the conference, things that happened. And we're also just going to talk a little bit about some of the tech behind the conference, because we actually used AI and visual development to build a lot of the tech that helped us run it in the most efficient way, because there's only a couple of us that are running it. So we've used a lot of interesting stuff to help us get it off the ground. But yeah, Kieran, shall we kick off with I guess a bit of a summary of what happened on the day, what your thoughts were, what your takeaways, favorite moments. So yeah, I've certainly got a few. So yeah, fascinated to hear what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I mean, it was it went far better than I'd expected, which is the same as last year as well. It's weird because organizing something as big as a conference just feels like there's so many different things you have to do, and to me it seems almost inconceivable that it's actually gonna go smoothly. But it went really, really well, and yeah, it felt like the right amount of people for the space. The speakers all absolutely nailed it. From what I've heard, like all the feedback from all the talks was just really, really good. But it was like we went from one day last year to basically 3 days this year. We started out on the Wednesday with 4 different workshops, which we held at Plexel, so the same venue. And those were great. This is the first time we've done workshops. We had experts coming in and teaching topics mainly about AI agents to a group of people, some of whom weren't even coming to the conference. They'd found out separately and paid for their tickets. So that was really interesting and gave us a chance to see like what there is demand for. And yes, there's definitely demand to learn about AI agents. And then obviously we had the speaker dinner that evening. So that was speakers and sponsors all gathering together to have a nice meal together. And that was fascinating. I had some great conversations there, sitting next to a couple of the founders of these tools, and hearing their thoughts on, the future of visual development and vibe coding and everything. And then the next day, and then we had the pre-party, which we managed to make it to, and that was awesome. That was organized by Claudia from Zapier. And then the next day we had obviously the conference, which was a bit of a whirlwind, and especially because we had to do the opening remarks, which is not something I particularly enjoy. So I was kind of feeling the stress of that for weeks before, but that went well. And and then we had kicked it off with Jonas's talk. So Jonas, the co-founder of Monzo, who is a super intelligent guy, and he was I guess we didn't really know what to expect because there's not many videos of him speaking online, but it was incredible. Some of the stuff he was coming out with, I know you enjoyed it as well. And then they split off into 3 different stages. So we had the main stage, the bleachers, and the partner stage. I was on the partner stage the whole day, introducing people and watching all those talks, and I really enjoyed just being able to sit there and watch all of the talks. And I think I learned a lot more and got to see a lot more than I did last year because I wasn't running around. I was just paying attention, which was great. And all the talks had a really good turnout. And then at the end of the day, we had the after party, which was on a boat just up the river. And that was sponsored by Zano. And it was great. Really good vibes, really good weather, which really helped. And everyone was just sitting out on the top floor of this boat on the canal, and just chatting. And there was a big feeling of relief from the organizers and the volunteers, and everyone else was buzzing from the stuff they'd heard and all the different speakers, who a lot of whom made it to the after party as well. So overall, yeah, I thought it was just a wonderful thing, and it made all the hard work in the months leading up to it totally worthwhile. And yeah, people were constantly saying, how do you feel, and what's the plan for next year? So I was like, oh, we don't know if, you know, a bit soon to say if next year's going to happen. But yeah, it seemed clear that it just went so smoothly, it would be a shame not to do it again next year. What was your take on it?
Yeah, I think, like you say, like it's such a blur, but for me, I think some of the highlights were, again, Jonas's talk was just like was making my head spin at the beginning, with all the new ways to use AI and like completely different ways of using it that I hadn't even really thought about. So I thought it was particularly interesting. Just, you know, I think he said that he would happily pay $10,000 a month for access to the O3 model from OpenAI. Is that valuable to him? And that he was using it primarily through voice input because it gave him a higher bandwidth. And I've actually been using O3 way more myself since then, and using the voice mode as well. So like it has kind of changed how I interact with it a bit. So yeah, I loved that. And again, I thought growing the event this year with the extra partner stage was awesome. Having that huge extra space up at the end, and just we did our best as well to just act on everyone's feedback from No Code UK from last year. So we obviously went through all the feedback forms, and we did our best to address like any comments from the previous year. So we tried a new sound system on the bleachers stage, for example, because last year we didn't have any like amplification at all. So we had like headphones there, and we did some different stuff with the food this year. And yeah, we tried to upgrade it as much as we could from the year before. And again, like we did kind of double the attendance as well, and we sold out, which I was super happy about, because it's always a bit nerve-wracking when you start sales for a conference like this, because so much of it does tend to happen nearer the event. So I was just absolutely thrilled that we sold out, and that was the first time that ever happened as well. So that was really exciting. I think the other thing for me this year was the kind of diversity of people there in multiple different ways. So I think we had people from a lot more backgrounds there this year. So we had people from bigger companies, founders, agencies, and it felt like a really good mix. And there was a lot of cross-pollination of ideas. So, you know, in both directions. That was one of the main things that I heard from people, is just the chats they had there. You know, they went away buzzing with new ideas for stuff they could implement, which is exactly what we wanted to happen. That's really, you know, like we always say about conferences, yes, the talks are great, but actually it's about the people that you meet there and, you know, the ideas that you get. So we tried to like make that happen as much as we could, and just a really good mix of people from different backgrounds. And I thought there was such a melding of different ideas, and I really loved that, especially at the parties. Like you said, this was the first year we kind of really did it with parties, I think. So like we had the pre-party and the post-party, and we had the boat this year, which was so fun with a DJ on there. Yeah, so we really tried our best to level up this year, and I think it went really well. And some of the other bits that we did were, you know, we tried to improve some of the technology around the conference as well. So we did have some feedback last year about the scheduling, and we wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to make, like, bookmark what they wanted to see and pick out the sessions. So we had the app that I think 90% of attendees used and kind of signed in and made favorited sessions. And we had things in there like the networking, so you could see all the other attendees and message them, and the AI matchmaking to help you meet up with people. And so, yeah, we definitely tried a lot of new stuff this year. Obviously, we've had tons of great feedback again this year of areas we can improve, and we're going to go through all of that in our debriefs. And kind of like you say, I don't know if we could even contemplate planning for the next one yet, because it's such a massive kind of marathon to get it done. But yeah, it's super exciting to even think we could do it again, and maybe even grow it and do some different stuff. But I thought one of the most exciting things maybe that you could update us on a bit as well was, at the conference we announced our kind of expansion. Like, so we want to take what we did with Create With in London and really take it to more locations, don't we? So maybe, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, we obviously, it's a long time to wait for next year and the conference, so we wanted to do some smaller meetups, because really the whole ethos of Create With is really about connecting people around this mutual interest. So we've launched a series of international meetups. The first one, or the first two, have already happened. There was one in Leeds, and there was one in Madrid a couple of days ago, which was hosted by our friend Sonia. And then there's one in Barcelona coming up on, I think, the 19th of June, and I'm going to be there. And then there's one in Montreal, which is happening on the 11th of September. And I think there'll be a few more as well over the summer that we don't yet know about. But certainly, yeah, just having kind of people based locally, wherever they are, who are interested in this topic and want to be a host, is going to be kind of instrumental to making these things happen. But they are like nice little meetups where you go along. There's a couple of speakers talking about interesting topics around all this stuff, very accessible to beginners, and then obviously networking and making new friends. And so I'm really looking forward to attending some of those in the future. And that's just a small part of what we're calling Create With Season 2, which we're going to be launching in the next few weeks with lots of exciting news about the cool stuff we're going to be doing over the next few months. But yeah, speaking about the technology, one thing that I thought was kind of a step change in the way we were organizing it was when we decided to move the website onto Bubble. And then we had you and me, who are both, full-time Bubble developers. Suddenly we had our favorite tool there, and we were using it for the conference. And I feel like it just enabled so much stuff to happen so quickly, because it would be like, you would be like, oh, look at this thing I've just built. Oh, I've just built a mobile app for the conference in like the last couple of days. And then I would be like, oh, I've just added in scheduling and all of the speakers and all this stuff into the database. And it gave us like a central place to be able to put all this information, which otherwise it's like scattered across Notion, Airtable, Tally, Jotform, all of the different tools we're using. And it's really hard to get it all in one place. But having the flexibility to be able to build and have two like seasoned Bubble developers working on it at the same time just means you can go so fast, especially when it's not a client project, when it's your own internal tool. It kind of reminded me of the magic of these kind of tools where we're not, because we are visual developers, we are also involved in the organization of everything. We're not relying on a dev team to make changes for us. We can literally say, wouldn't it be cool if we could do this for the conference? And then, 2 minutes later, you've added in like AI matchmaking and all this stuff, which was like really, really cool added value feature. And it's just so fast. Like, that is the dream. And that's why I think, Jonas is talking about one-person startups and how all that's going to be possible. To make that possible, like, the person doing it really needs to have the right skills to be able to leverage technology in the right way. And I think people would be blown away with the amount of stuff we were able to do so quickly. I mean, I know like Ash is not a Bubble developer. He obviously knows a lot of technology and no code tools. But I think even he was impressed at how quickly we could churn out new features. Just like, he'd be like, oh, how can I edit the speakers or the speaking slots? And I'd be like, okay, I've added that in for you. You can do it now. Like 20 minutes later, it's just a reminder of the power of these tools. It's mind blowing.
It really is, and I'm so glad that we're doing that as well, because it's like we're kind of practicing what we preach, really, and like we're going to try and be as transparent and share all the stuff that we're doing to automate the conference, because a lot of the stuff we're doing is, it's very transferable to, it could inspire other people that, they could do stuff as well. So like a really good example of how Bubble became a bit of the center of the whole world was that, like, for example, we used Tally to survey all of our attendees before they came to the event. And with Bubble, we linked in the Tally API, and then we could pull in all of the form submissions that people had answered and pre-populate their kind of attendee profile. So when they logged into the app, it already had all of their survey responses that they'd done in Tally. And just stuff like that, where we were able to very quickly, add an API, pull in the data we needed. Like Luma, for example, we had connected up via N8N. So we had an automation in N8N that would pull in the attendees that had registered in Luma and like add them to ConvertKit, add them to Bubble, and all this kind of stuff. So I really loved how we were using all these different tools, kind of like in the way that we're evangelizing other people too as well. So I thought that was cool. And I'm really excited to see where we can go with building out an entire operating system for the company, which is kind of what we've said is our goal, is to try and automate as much as we can so that frees us up to do the human facing stuff. Because we are kind of a small, kind of very much volunteer led team. And, for us to have the kind of impact that we want, we are going to have to try and, automate as much as we can of the day-to-day stuff of just keeping stuff updated and all that kind of thing. So that's one of the things I'm really excited to carry on working on. And again, loads of the sessions were talking about that, so I actually learned a ton of stuff that we can now go off and implement as well, which is fun. And hopefully a lot of other people are doing that after the conference as well. So very, very good. I loved all of that.
It's a nice little internal flywheel where we are teaching the stuff which is also helping us run the business. And the more we teach, the more we learn ourselves, the more we can apply it to the business itself. And I think a lot of people were really surprised that it was such a small team of people, because it's really the three of us, the core team, who organized the entire conference. And then we have Matt, who has been amazing at writing the newsletter each week. And then we all give our inputs before it gets sent out. And then Matt also organized the volunteers on the day, which obviously was, fundamental in making the day run smoothly. And then we have Victoria, who works part-time to kind of help us on the conference and social media. But it's a tiny team with a massive impact, and a lot of that would not be possible without being able to use things like AI to help us with writing documents and processes, and even emails and things like that, and automations to do a lot of the more manual stuff, the repetitive work behind the scenes, so that we don't have to, like the automations we had on all the ads and things like that, and adding people to various mailing lists. It's all, stuff that absolutely every company should ideally be learning how to do, because it just gives you such an outsized impact without needing to hire more and more people. And when you're organizing events and stuff like that, the numbers just don't work out if you want to hire a massive team. You need to keep it very slimline, unless you're lucky enough to be able to attract like massive sponsors. So the fact that we bootstrapped it this far without any investment is really amazing, and a testament to the power of all these tools, I think.
Definitely. And of the community who've supported us since day one. Like I was also kind of blown away just how many repeat people we had coming back who'd supported us on the very first No Code UK, and then they were back for Create With, and people traveling in from all sorts of different countries. It was just, it's quite humbling to see that, and it's just really, really nice to get everyone together, with that kind of shared mission of just trying to make sense of all these tools and navigate this new world as best we can. But I think it's kind of overwhelming sometimes, the change that's happening. So I think, getting together in person at these kind of events to try and make sense of it and implement as much as we can into our our daily workflows is just so valuable, and something that I think is just going to, demand for is going to grow as more and more people want to learn how to use this stuff and to make it work. And talk about it in a human way. I think that's what I love about Create With so much. It's very people driven. It's like human first. It's not just like an online thing. It's very much rooted in person. stuff. So I think that's really, really great that that's continued to grow, and so excited about our international events as well, to kind of roll out that vibe into more continents all over the place. So very, very exciting, and lots more coming up on that as well. So yeah, very, very, very exciting times.
Yeah, it's a great community to be part of, and one of our volunteers, Antonia, who is actually my friend from Norwich. She's a career coach, and she said to me, I mean, she's the most energetic person there. She was like 10 times more energetic than I was, and she said to me afterwards, like, I've never been around such a positive group of people. Like, normally I'd go to a conference and I'd come away with a few potential clients who were like unhappy with their career, and so that's where she steps in. But she was like, everyone was really happy doing what they're doing. They're really excited about all the possibilities. Most of them have come to that through other careers which they weren't so happy with, but now they are building things or using technology, and so everyone just seemed really content. And she said that's so unusual and inspiring, and yeah, that's why it's a great community to be part of. I think it's just like, you never have a negative conversation. I can't imagine what it'd be like to go to a conference full of, you know, barristers or accountants or something. It would be way
everyone's
more depressing.
and everyone's just working on something different. I think that's the big contrast to me, is like that there was such a breadth of like workplaces and things that people were working on. It wasn't like a tech conference, or, you know, people working on all sorts of different stuff. And I think that's where a lot of the idea exchanges came from as well. So yeah, we definitely made a big effort on like diversity in multiple ways with the conference, in thought, background, like agenda, everything. When we really focused on that, and I think you could tell when you were there that, you know, that kind of broadness really aided with the cross-pollination of ideas. Like, it wasn't like everyone wasn't from the same background, which is really good. So yeah, awesome.
And well, one other thing that happened that I enjoyed was I met my co-founder from Typoro, Pete, in person for the first time, and that's just crazy to think about. Like, we literally we own a company together, and we'd never met in real life until that day. So that was so weird. But again, a symptom of how great the internet is, that I can be based in Norwich and he's based somewhere else. I don't even know, Worcester or something like that. And we'd never met in real life, but we'd just met on Twitter, and we'd like had a couple of video calls and been like, let's start a company together. Yeah, what a time to be alive, that you can do stuff like that and you're not constrained by your physical location anymore.
And I imagine I wouldn't be surprised if there were a few people there that had either met for the first time or met their future co-founder, and, you know, they're going to work in completely different locations.
I think Lee and Kat met for the first time in real life, and they are co-founders on Build the Keyword. So yeah, that was another special moment for them, and it's great to bring people together like this.
It was, and I mean, one of the other areas that I was really excited about, and was just I think it was a really good buzz, was in the kind of the park area. We had quite a few of the tools represented there. So there were sponsor booths, and throughout the day, it seemed like they were all really busy, like people wanting to learn more about all the different tools that were there. So yeah, it was just a great buzz. But like with the ethos of the conference, there was no hard selling. Like, there's no just like sit here and watch a demo. Every talk, even where sponsors were involved, was really interesting, and about how practically to apply AI and visual development. So I that was the other feedback that I got, was just people loved having all the tools there, so it's like you could actually go up and meet the tools for the first time as well. People who were representatives from kind of Sutro, Bubble, Glide, No Loco, Momen, Xano, they were all there, and the mixing, and they were all the parties as well. So I saw so many conversations happening, and people learning more about, you know, all these tools and how to use them. So that was really good to see.
Yeah, I saw the talk given by Tom from Sutro, and it was really interesting and kind of tied together a lot of the conversation topics of the day, because obviously there's a lot of discussion about, you know, the future of building, and is it going to be vibe coding, so like type in a prompt and it generates code for you, or is it going to be visual development where you kind of more drag and drop elements and you don't ever see any of the code, and you kind of do the programming with drop downs and in English. And he really gave a really good talk that was kind of explaining the different approaches in a kind of more philosophical point of view. And his, you know, his idea is that the future is going to be somewhere in between, which is, I think, what we've seen. A lot of the traditional no-code platforms have been adding in AI to their platforms, and also a lot of the vibe coding platforms have been adding in a lot more constraints and guardrails. So it's not just like, say to the AI, just make me this app however you want. It's more like, okay, I want you to make this app, but you're going to have to follow this very strict process and structure of the way you do it. So yeah, he was saying that in the end, he thinks that they're all going to be somewhere in the middle, where there'll be like a visual element, there'll be AI to help you. Whether or not you see the code, we don't know. But it was very interesting. And I also saw a conversation between him and Yao Kai from Momen, which is a relatively new visual development platform. And they were discussing this exact topic. And it was just so interesting to see two obviously very intelligent people who are living and breathing this discussion in their own heads the whole time, kind of talking about how they think the future is going to look. And yeah, it was just super good to hear that, and that neither of them, you know, have all the answers. They're kind of figuring it out as they go along, just like the rest of us are. But yeah, very interesting time for all of these tools, really. And I think it was definitely great for them to be surrounded by all these people and just hear like people's thoughts and concerns about how things should be built and what they're really after. Because obviously there's, at the moment, there's a big divide between what you can do with vibe coding and how quick and magical it is, versus how long it takes to master a new tool like Bubble. But ultimately you get a more serious and scalable and maintainable app at the end of it. So yeah, very interesting times to see all that happening, playing out in front of us.
It was, and even the community partners who were there as well were awesome. So like we had Zapier, who was also kind of organizer of the pre-party, WeWeb, 100 School, of course, and Jotform. So many of these tools that we all use all the time, they were all there. It was just awesome. And, you know, to be able to speak to people from them and like ask the questions, and you know, I'm sure we signed up for a load of new stuff ourselves as well after the conference and been using it. So it's just so great to meet people in person and kind of learn more about all the different things that are coming out. But yeah, it's just a bit mind-boggling trying to navigate everything. But yeah, very, very exciting times indeed.
Yeah, I think it's great that these tools are willing to be involved in kind of community stuff like this, because yeah, I don't know what the payoff is like for them, and when you compare it to other things they could be spending their marketing budget on. But just to have them there in person, and everyone I met from all the sponsors was like super engaged with the whole thing. I saw loads of them going to all the other talks, standing at the other booths, talking to the other sponsors, watching demos, just getting involved, and at the socials before and after. So I just thought it was great to put a human face to all of these kind of big companies, and also, yeah, just hear about like what they're interested in and what their thoughts are, because yeah, it is such a interesting and potentially scary time for everyone, including the platforms themselves. So I think we're all trying to get a handle on it and learn about it. And yeah, it's great that we can all do it together.
100%. And again, that's kind of what we're going to try and carry over into these international events as well. So really, really fun to do a quick kind of debrief on the conference there. Obviously, tons of stuff to talk about. I think we're going to do more and more write-ups. We've got the videos coming out very soon from the sessions, so we're going to be uploading those on YouTube. And honestly, do make sure that you're subscribed to at Create with HQ on YouTube. We'll put a link in the description, and you can do the bell notification thing, because we're going to upload the episodes kind of one by one as we edit them. So that's going to be the best way to keep updated about the talks as they go up. But there's some such great stuff in there. It will be worth subscribing. So really excited for that. We've also just we've got a video out which explains a little bit more about how we built the actual iOS and Android apps. So that's on the Bubble YouTube channel. We'll put a link to that as well, because that's quite interesting if you're interested in seeing how to build an iPhone app without being a programmer. And then there's going to be tons of other updates. So the newsletter is on a little bit of a pause at the moment while we are processing everything from the conference, all the photos and all the videos, everything. There is a ton of stuff that we're going through. So that is going to be back very soon as well. But yeah, in the meantime, I think if there's anything else that you want to find, I think probably best to head over to createwith.com, find us on X and LinkedIn. But yeah, I think that's probably it for this week. Any final thoughts, Kieran?
Yeah, well, just good to wrap up. I'm really looking forward to Create with season 2, which we're going to be launching in a few weeks. There's going to be so many exciting announcements, and I'm looking forward to working on that over the next few weeks. And also, we're planning a little kind of work offsite, aren't we, where we're going to meet up in person and do some serious focused group work, which will be really exciting. And yeah, I love the whole thing, really. It's great fun.
It is indeed. And I wanted to give a special shout out and hello and thank you to everyone who came up to me at the conference who were podcast listeners, because I had a great chat with a couple of people who were listeners, and they were really, really kind about the podcast. So really, really appreciate it. Lovely to meet some of you. And we hope to see you in future at some of these other events. So yeah, thank you for listening. And we will be back very soon with a more normal episode. We've got a ton of other exciting stuff to chat about. Obviously, a lot has been happening in AI, and we're going to get back to covering that next week. So, that's it for this week, but we will see you again very soon. Bye-bye.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.